You guys kick ass.
The following is a production of the AM Podcast Network.
Do not panic. I repeat, do not panic.
We bring you this special radio broadcast in order to give you the very latest information on an amazing phenomenon.
Scare tactics, common sense, or amazing guesswork?
Dozens of people spontaneously combust each year.
Come with me inside the machine and I'll show you.
You are no longer enslaved by the mainstream machine.
You are now entering the deprogramming center. Sit down, strap in, and shut up. This is Passion and Warfare.
Yes, and with the pretty maids, I bid you welcome. This is Passion and Warfare. I am Vince Wild. I used to do this show back in, 2007. And I wasn't as well-resourced as I am now. You have to make back alley deals. Show people that you know the secret handshake. Let them know that, hey, I got it. I'm an industry insider, and I'm ready to roll with the big cats. Now, this show, episode 1, is experimental because we're working out the kinks. Hopefully, you will see it hosted by AM Podcast Network with a fresh logo, and we're very excited about that because that will expand the stretch. We've been emailing a lot of record labels. In fact, today was mostly PR work between me and a variety of record labels. The first one to sign on with us is AFM out of Germany. And thank you very much, AFM. They actually responded within minutes. I sent them an email, and 5 minutes later I had a response sending me the latest promotional material for the 5 latest releases, 4 of which I will show you on maybe not today's show. This may be an abbreviated show, but future shows. That is my plan, and so I'm really looking forward to doing this. There's too many people. Because this, first of all, let me say this. This show is aimed at the American music fan. You guys are missing out. I'm telling you right now, the RIAA has a stranglehold on the industry, on this industry. We're seeing a microcosm of the great heavy metal and hard rock music that is out there. And there are phenomenal acts that are award-winning that you simply will not hear on mainstream radio. And for that matter, a lot of mainstream podcasts. I'm not bashing the guys that do mainstream metal, but I think that the option to look at another show that exposes you to some of the different sounds that are out there. I think this is important. And so I wanted to be the guy to bring you some of the sounds that I've been listening to forever. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of these bands for a long time. In fact, it was during the early 2000s where I started saying, well, hair metal can't be it. I wasn't an alternative rock fan by any stretch of the imagination. I thought, I like alternative rock a little, but the problem is with American music is everything starts to sound like a carbon copy of everything else, and it's brutal, and you don't know where to go with it. So hair bands had their time in the sun. They had a really good run. If you think about it, they headlined for 12 years at least. You know, and you had Van Halen, you had Motley Crue, you had Poison. You know, some of the names that put metal on the map for the first time for people that had never listened to it before. People that were not going to Led Zeppelin shows were tuning in for the first time because Quiet Riot broke over the charts, crossed over the charts with Come On Feel the Noise. All of a sudden, heavy metal gained all these other fans that suddenly realized, hey, you know what? They're not all devil worshippers, and they're not all, you know, singing about something I can't identify with. So anyway, I got into hair metal first. And I really enjoyed hair metal, and I think I've collected probably about 80% of it. There's some stuff I'll never purchase, you know, because what's the point? But there's stuff that I gladly have in my collection that I consider classic albums. And I think that hair metal doesn't get the respect it deserves. And that's a shame, because it should. But it's, you know, it's the way of the world. Mainstream is the only thing that counts in America. And our music charts do not reflect what the rest of the world listens to, nor what their tastes are. You will find that most of the rest of the world is much, much more diverse and gets exposed to a lot more than we do. And so that is what Passion and Warfare is all about. I have a passion for this music, and I'm declaring war. Because I think that the American music market, particularly the RIAA, has shunned these artists long enough. They've blocked them out. Let me tell you something. 19 years in radio. Some of you know this about me from my other show, The Vince Wild Show. 19 years in radio. RIA sends a playlist to the radio station telling you what they want pushed that week. We're talking an ironclad death grip on radio. Radio's not about revolution and rebellion in America anymore. The days of the Kiss Army are gone. The only way we break out of this is if we just decide that there's more out there and we want to play it on the air. And the pirate guys do it, the college stations do it, but beyond that, everybody sticks with the same tried and true formula. I remember a few years ago, a radio station in Boston, WAAF 107.3, for those of you that are from New England, you'll know what I'm talking about, did the Rock and Walk for Change. That day, they had, I want to say, 5 separate requests for Dream Theater. Dream Theater does not get played on mainstream radio because it's been deemed too complex for the average fan. How insulting is that? And the average fan on that day during the Rock and Walk for Change showed, indeed, it is not too complex, and we want to hear it. And the following day, the radio station went right back to its safe format of playing the same crap that they've been playing for the last 15 years. Well, here's Nirvana again. And now here's another track by Kiss. Big whoop. Not that Kiss is not respectable, but there's other bands out there that deserve to have their time in the sun. So this show will fill that void. I will bring you, for the time being, 45 minutes of stuff that you didn't know was out and that you can now be exposed to. And this will also see airtime on Blender FM, among all the other programs that I play. And we will give you doses of music. And as this program grows and we start signing deals with other record labels, AFM was the first. We've also got feelers out to Nuclear Blast. We've got feelers out to Frontiers. And they might need a little persuasion. But this show will become the American authority on stuff that is not in the mainstream, but just as good, if not better. And we're going to start today with a band that is considered a thrash influence. And I got to tell you, this band is, they're both melodic and gritty, which I love because There are bands like Demon Hunter that did this. And Demon Hunter really, I mean, I never liked the growly vocals, but if it's balanced, I really enjoy it. So Demon Hunter really did it for me. This band, Solution 45, is incredible. Solution 45 is on AFM Records. I just got the package today, and I'm very excited about it because I listened to the album, and I'll listen to it again. It's incredible. There's 10 tracks on it, and just great music. And that's all that can be said. And you will never hear this on mainstream radio in America because maybe it's too heavy. I don't know. Whatever the reason is, I'm gonna let you check out the latest single off of this album. Right now, AFM has a lyric video up on YouTube. Hopefully, a full-blown music video will follow. But this is a track off the new album, which is called Nightmares in a Waking State. It is called Perfecting the Void on Passion and Warfare.
isolation and self-deception. Subconsciously, I must have felt a soul and dread increased. My nightmares would soon all be so vivid and visible. The punishment came to strike. Come undone, rip my back one by one, ripping out images of control. Life is gone in the haze, letting on rainy days, giving rise to the shadow of my soul.
Solution 45 off of their new CD, Nightmares in the Waking Hour. I'm going to double check that for you in a minute. The name of the song. I apologize. I should have these titles up, and the way they're presented on the player here is awful. All right, Nightmares in a Waking State, and the name of that track was Perfecting the Void. Unfortunately, the tagging doesn't really read the way it's supposed to. A little bit about Solution 45, a combination of melodic thrash and some of that gritty kind of shouting style of music that is popular in a lot of circles. This is a band that I enjoy, but I understand that a lot of people may not be excited about the vocals that are more, gritty and screamy kind of deal. So I get that. And this show will have a balance between, as much as possible, leaving out a lot of the really screechy, that's all they do bands. I'm not on that. I'm not on board with that. I prefer bands that sing. That's my thing. So Solution 45 is a metal supergroup from Sweden, and it was created by guitarist Janie Stefanik from Miseration, Divine Fire, Essence of Sorrow. Their current lineup includes vocalist Christian, I'm going to pronounce these wrong and I apologize, Christian Alvstam, Miseration, X-Scar, Symmetry, guitarist Stefanik and Patrick Gardberg, Torchbearer, The Few Against Many, Amatrak, and drummer Rolf Pilv, Miseration, Essence of Sorrow, and Stradivarius. So there's definitely a balance of influences from in that band that just really kind of, you hit pay dirt on that album. That whole album is like that. It's a combination of melodic and hardcore thrash, and it's great. The release date is November. I believe it said November 1st is the official release date for that album. It is not available yet, so we had a sneak preview of the single that's making its rounds on radio and video. Radio, not in the United States. Video on YouTube. That is the single that they're pushing right now over at AFM Records. So bravo. Excellent track. And onward and upward with our next band. Actually, this isn't a band. This is a solo artist. And this is a guy that he's got a history that I love, that he has such a rich history. I believe his first big gig was lead vocalist for the Vinnie Vincent Invasion during the 80s. Vinnie Vincent played with Kiss, and then he kind of went off and did his own thing. And Mark Slaughter was his singer. And Mark Slaughter then went off to perform with his own band, Slaughter, and they put out a bunch of really solid albums, did a lot of touring, headlining, and so forth. And just really, if you're the type of fan that loves a band that will actually connect with the fans, Slaughter is one of those bands. By the way, recently I went to an LA Guns show. LA Guns is another band. And of course, yes, these are artists from the hair band era. And they're seeing their second life at Frontiers, which is a record label based out of Italy. This is a new album by Mark Slaughter. It's a solo effort called Reflections in a Rear View Mirror. And I cannot say enough good things about this album. It is phenomenal. There's nothing bad on this album. And it's a shame. This has tremendous potential for mainstream radio airplay over here, but because it's not on the RIAA Table of Artists, you'll never hear it. I imagine there are community radio stations and college radio stations that are playing this album, but for the time being, if you want to hear Mark Slaughter, you will have to come over to Passion and Warfare to hear his latest solo effort, which I'm going to play you now. This is probably my favorite track, called Velcro Jesus, off the current album. Everything about this song jumps out. The songwriting, the music, everything about it is solid, and it's definitely one of the top tracks off this album. So check it out. Off of Reflections from a Rear View Mirror. Boy, that's a mouthful to say. This is Mark Slaughter with Velcro Jesus. The great Mark Slaughter, Velcro Jesus, off of his new CD, Reflections in a Rear View Mirror. That is one of the more complex titles to say, I gotta tell you. Mark Slaughter with a rich history, definitely a talented musician in his own right, and glad to see him back on the scene because Slaughter hasn't been heard from in quite some time as far as studio efforts go. And, everybody goes off and does their own little projects, and so it happens. Sometimes bands, such as Savatage, never officially announce a split. They just stop doing things. And Savatage, by the way, reemerged together for the first time since 2010 at Wacken in Germany. I'm hoping, and this is my personal, would love to see kind of thing, I'm hoping that it's a sign that they might put out a new album. There are people saying that it won't ever happen because Trans-Siberian Orchestra is essentially Savatage just on a grander level. But who wouldn't love to return to some just back-to-roots metal without all of the flair of Trans-Siberian Orchestra? And I think all of us, especially fans of Zach Stevens, it would be phenomenal to hear those guys together again because it's one of the greatest bands, one of the greatest and most underrated metal bands of all time, easily. People that don't know their metal history because they don't know who Savatage is, get a Savatage album. I usually recommend Handful of Rain. It's a great, solid album. Edge of Thorns was also a great album. There's nothing like them at all. There really is nothing like them. They're their own unique thing, kind of like Dream Theater without the complexity. And the lyrics are poetic. And that's one thing I really admire about that band is the poetic lyrics. It's literally poetry set to music. And I don't mean that because that's all lyrics, but there's the way lyrics are written and the way poetry is written. And sometimes the two are not similar. And in Savatage's case, they're absolutely similar. Pick up an album by Savatage. You will love it. Like I said, Edge of Thorns or Handful of Rain. Probably Handful would be a better introduction to the band. Another solid album, Wake of Magellan, which was a rock opera. And Wake of Magellan is just, it's a great CD. I love the album. So, onward and upward, we have one more track. The great Faith No More is back again. And Faith No More was one of those groups. They actually started in the mid-'80s, which I had previously been unaware of. They just have a great round of influence that cannot be said about a lot of bands from that era. And they also were not, there's no way you could classify them as a hair band. They were not a hair band. They were, I don't know how to, I guess they would fit in the metal genre, but there was some alternative happening there as well. And it made them something unique on a landscape that was starting to look incredibly similar no matter what people tried to do. I mean, you had new wave, then you had hair metal, and then towards the end of the hair metal scene, you had grunge and alternative just sort of rise up from the ashes. And Faith No More was able to transition through all of that and not be put in a cookie cutter, this is what Faith No More is, so don't listen to them anymore because it's irrelevant. One of their greatest and most respected songs, of course, Epic. Just an absolutely great album. So we're going to play their single. We're going to play their latest single. This is off of Soul Invictus. This is the latest single. I believe there's a video for it on YouTube. It's called Superhero. The latest from Faith No More on Passion and Warfare. Faith No More. Superhero off of Soul Invictus, their latest effort. Recent. Not like from 5 years ago, a release that nobody knew about, but an actual recent release. And just great to hear from those guys again. They are an island. They really are. Coming out of an era that spawned so many carbon copies that it was nice to hear something different on the horizon. And hey, you know, I'm a huge fan of hair bands. I love the hair bands, but to hear something unique, and you know, I'm just now getting into new wave. I know I'm like, 25 years too late, but just now getting into new wave because my wife likes new wave. So I started listening to things like The Cure, and I've always known about The Cure. Don't get me wrong. The Clash, one of my favorite bands, The Cult. I've got high hopes that The Cult will do something, but there hasn't been any news on the horizon that there are really any plans at all for The Cult to do something. So, Faith No More, great album. So this has been really an experiment, and I apologize if anybody heard some strange noises before that song. It turns out my cat had become trapped in the studio with me, and he has asthma and started coughing. So anybody thought there was somebody coughing up a hairball in the background. Indeed, that is not what was happening. The cat has, yes, cats can have asthma. I know that's completely nuts. Because some people, you tell them, oh, my cat has asthma. They're like, really, what's going on? You're like, no, really, my cat, he has asthma, and he does. And I didn't know he was in the studio with me. My studio is like my fortress, and unfortunately, the cat seems to think he needs to do a show as well. And so he comes in here a lot. And in the studio is where I run the pirate radio station from. So every once in a while I'll come up here, and he'll be sitting at the computer console like he's getting ready to go on the air. A sneak peek into the life of Vince Wild and all of the complexities that are my life. So we don't have email or Twitter yet, but I'm going to be working on that. As soon as I have that, I will post it on vincewild.com what the Twitter handle is. And you can follow Passion and Warfare on Twitter when that becomes available. Best way to find that out, go to vincewild.com and keep track of that. I'll also try to post something on my @VinceWild handle as well. This show will be going under review from a good friend of mine at AM Podcast Network to see if he's interested in picking it up. I would like to get more record label support. I'm going to continue blasting record labels. With the kind of exposure that my programs tend to get, it will only do bands that are trying to break through in the American market a whole bunch of good, because the potential is there to reach an audience that will appreciate their music and gain new audience members who haven't heard these things. Just too much red tape. And the other thing is, because of the RIAA and the DMCA, the Digital Millennial Copyright Act, you cannot play most songs in their entirety off of the major labels. And frankly, they don't need your help as a podcaster anyway. They just don't, because they're getting on the radio, but these other bands aren't. Nobody's playing Superhero by Faith No More. Maybe a couple stations out there, but no. Same thing with Mark Slaughter and definitely Solution 45. Nobody's playing those songs. To get exposed, you got to be one of these people that downloads a podcast and looks for new things. This show will become the authority. And by the way, the logo that I have right now is temporary. Once I get Adam Mulholland to agree that this is a great show with enormous potential, it will have a whole new look. And I'm going to work on the intro. I like the intro, but I don't love it. I'm very picky because I'm a producer. I don't just sit around thinking, oh, that's great. For everything. I put something together, and, when I get a client, I'll spend hours tweaking, whatever production they've asked for, because if I'm not 110% happy with it when it leaves my studio, then it's not leaving my studio. So there it is. I'd really like to get a voiceover guy, so I'm not introducing myself. I've always had a problem with that. Just call it something that bugs me. I'm the only person it bugs. But this show will continue to bring you. I mean, we just did We just showed you a single for an album that isn't due out for another month. 15 days. Solution 45's album isn't even out yet, and we played it here. And that's what we'll continue to do. When you get record labels that are excited about what you're doing, you can be unstoppable. And you can really break through some barriers and make headway and all that stuff. It's really awesome. So, the website for now is vincewild.com. And Twitter is Vince Wild Show. And when we get something going for Passion and Warfare, we will alert you to what it's going to be. You know, whatever it is. And we'll also let you know what labels are signing up to be a part of this project. There are very few seasoned radio veterans turning to podcasting to bring you new music. I'm throwing my hat in the ring. Nobody does this like I do, and it's only going to get better from here. Until next time, my friends, take care and raise the fist of the metal child. This is Passion and Warfare.